Cal Banyan's Hypnosis, etc. Because we talk about hypnosis, etc. And you know, we just have a great time doing this. And I have a great time. I have a great time with Celeste, had a great time with Elron, had a great time with just the last 4 series that I did with Brenda, and now I'm going to have a great time with the magnificent Meredith Locker. We're going to continue with our top 10 mistakes that hypnotists make, and we might even throw in a couple of bonus ones. But let me tell you about Meredith. I just love talking about the fabulous Meredith Locker. She is the consummate professional. She knows her stuff. She had a background in talk therapy. She has a master's degree in psychology before she ever came around to learning 5-path and 7-path and becoming a Hypno 1%er like she is now. She has a very busy, successful practice in Los Angeles, and if I had family in the area, I'd send them to her, but gosh, they'd probably be on a waiting list for 3 months. How you doing, Meredith?
It's true, I do have a waiting list right now. I'm doing so good, Cal, and I'm so grateful to you because I would not have this waiting list if it weren't for you and the wonderful 5-path that I do with all my clients. I get change with every single client that comes to me, and so they send their friends, they send their family, they send their doctors who send even more people to me, and I'm so grateful to you. Cal Banyan is the reason that I am this busy. He's the one that created 5-path. He is the one that brought us 7th path self-hypnosis. Like me, he has a master's in psychology and was once a talk therapist, and now he trains the top 1% of the profession, and I want to thank you, Cal, for everything you do.
Thank you so much. Back at you too. Hey, you know, I was working with a client yesterday, and I just so enjoy the work that I do. And when you have a system of hypnosis and you know what you're going to do next, then it becomes kind of fun. In that, you know, at the beginning I was all sweaty and I was worried because I didn't have my system yet and I didn't know what I was going to do next, and you know, you wind up having an idea what you're going to do, but a lot of it's flying by the seat of your pants. And then I read a book called The E-Myth. I believe that's by Gerber, and he talked about successful businesses are systems. And we started off last podcast talking about how you really needed to have a system. And we talked about, let me see if I can make out my notes here. You need to have a system. Not having a system, whatever system that is a mistake. You need to spend time preparing your clients for the session. If you don't, guess what? They might have fears, misperceptions, or not have confidence in you. And so that could be a big mistake. Here's another mistake that I covered last time. Don't do long, boring, put them to sleep kind of inductions. Let's put the progressive relaxation induction to bed where it belongs. And let's know when our clients are hypnotized. How do we do that? There's only one way to know. We don't ask them afterwards, well, did you feel hypnotized? That's called... You're a loser if you do that. You're an amateur. Hypnotists let the clients know they're hypnotized. You don't ask your client, do you feel hypnotized? Because like Meredith said in the last session, hypnosis does not, in and of itself, have a particular feeling. Sleep is not hypnosis. Don't get them confused. They're totally different. Even if you say the word sleep, your clients need to understand you don't mean normal, natural sleep. You mean close your eyes, go deeply relax as if you were asleep, but remain alert and focused on my voice. Let's see, I think that's everything. Does that sound right, Meredith?
That sounds right, although we did get into using convincers.
Oh, that's right, convincers. All right, so this, I have to admit, I'm not sure what number we're on. Have you been numbering them?
Yeah, that was number 6.
Uh-oh, I know we're going to go over 10 now. Okay, let's see. Number 7, I remember you were talking about this. So, oh no, it's going to be 7 and 8. Oh man, we got so many. We're going to fill up this 20 minutes, but I'm not going to go into part 3. This is going to be 2 parts. All right. Is this obvious or what? But a lot of people, they get too systematic, too clinical about what they're doing. You know, you need to care about your clients. you have to, I think, I'm not sure who said this, maybe it was Zig Ziglar, people don't care how much you know until they find out how much you care. And so personally, I will not hypnotize my clients until I've found something about them to love. Because when you love your clients, if you can find something about them to love, to really care about, then there is this connection that happens where you're really working together. What do you think about that, Meredith?
I agree, and they know it and feel it, and that's why they will stick with it no matter what.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think that's one of the super secrets to referrals, don't you think? Competence and caring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when they know that you really care about them, they absolutely are going to feel safe and comfortable, and that they can trust you with their loved ones, with their friends, that they won't be humiliated and embarrassed because they sent someone to you. They know ultimately that you are going to take such good care because you do care.
That's right. So the mistake that some hypnotists make is to get script bound, too mechanical. You've got to be with the client. You've got to care about them. All right. Next one. I believe it's number 8. And that would be having community, belonging to a community. And that is like when my students or one of our other trainers, students that train our program, graduate, we automatically put them in our 5-path group on Yahoo. And, you know, it might not always be on Yahoo. It's been on Yahoo for years and years and years, but I'm thinking about moving it. But the thing is, being a hypnotist can be kind of lonely. You take some certification course, you read some books, you do whatever you need to do to get trained, and then you can be all by yourself. And you can get a lot of input. You can get a lot of collegial interaction. You can get help and mentoring by belonging to a community. You added this one to the list, Meredith. You want to say something about it?
Yeah, you know, I actually, when I went to find an office, I didn't want to be the lone hypnotist. And so I actually looked for a wellness center. Initially, when I first started out, I was in a kind of group of therapists, and that sort of worked, but the wellness center was really what I was more going for. And so unlike Cal has a series of offices, and he's got staff, and he's got, you know, other therapists, other hypnotists, excuse me, that actually see clients out of his offices, and so he's kind of created that center for himself. But you know, I wasn't quite ready to do that, and so I figured, gosh, I can find it another way. And I love working out of the wellness center. I do get referrals because of it. There is some cross marketing that goes on because of it, and a lot of camaraderie. And all of us, you know, even though they don't all do hypnosis, most people in fact do other things. There are acupuncturists and therapists and all kinds of people, you know, they all are in the helping profession, and so we're all in it together, and it's just so great to create a family. But then when it comes to hypnosis, I want to be able to connect with people who actually do what I do and are working to be better at it like I am. And so, you know, I go to the convention, and you know, you want to go to things like Solid Gold. You want to get into these groups. You want to email your hypnosis buddies every once in a while and check in with them and ask them questions and answer their questions. This couldn't be more important for just your own support and feeling like you belong, and really the betterment of the profession.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember when I started, I didn't want to be the lone hypnotist, and I joined online groups. I opened a center that within 6 or 8 months we had a second hypnotist there, and I think that's just really important. In the world of psychology, that was my background in training. I'd work like at a counseling center or a mental health center, and I just loved having that collegial kind of environment. So I wanted to recreate it with my office, and I've done that. Now we really have a network that goes around the world, from Asia all the way through the United States, the Americas, South America, Africa, South Africa, London, Europe, Norway, Sweden, everywhere. And so I'm so proud to be a part of that network of thriving hypnotists. All right, let's see. Here's another mistake. I feel like I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, but doing direct suggestion only work. Man, oh man, it's time to go beyond that. You need to learn the best results the long-term results, the being able to fix stuff that nobody else can fix, happens when you learn insight processes like age regression, like parts work, like forgiveness work. These kinds of things where you can, because here's the problem with direct suggestion hypnosis, is it works mainly on the behavioral level. It doesn't get to the causal level. If you do direct suggestion that you think is working on the causal level, you're going to find out that actually you're working on what you think the cause is, not what it really is. The real cause is determined with things like age regression. What do you think of that, Meredith?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, surprisingly, I actually do get clients who have unsuccessfully gotten hypnosis done in the past. And I say surprisingly because I would think that if they experienced hypnosis and if it didn't work, that they would just go, oh, hypnosis didn't work for me. And unfortunately, that does happen. But I'm always so impressed with the people who go, no, it kind of feels like hypnosis is still the answer. It's just this particular kind wasn't. And they're willing to keep seeking, and they show up, and sure enough, using the advanced techniques, using age regression and, you know, forgiveness work and parts mediation, I'm able to get them the results that they weren't able to get with somebody who was just using direct suggestion. And how does it get any better than that? You know, let's go past the direct suggestion and really create change for people.
Perfect. And if you're going to go in and you're going to learn these insight techniques, you got to be good at it. And so one of the things with, you know, beating the 5-path drum here once again is that I use 5-path for everything. I'm going to be doing insight work for everything. It'll be age regression, parts work, forgiveness, for every issue that comes in, which means I am great at doing this kind of work. It doesn't matter if they came in for nail biting, or they came in for post-traumatic stress disorder, or they come in for stuttering. I work the same process all the time, and so I am great at it. And you get, with the proper training and the proper experience, you become just masterful at things like finding the actual ISC, you know, turning that ISC into something positive, doing age progression, not just age regression. So let's not make the mistake of just doing direct suggestion hypnosis. Let's get into the more powerful stuff. All right. Next on my list, survey said, oh, that's a different program. See, got that one, got that one, got that one. How about if you are doing direct suggestion? And guess what? Direct suggestion is something that we do in every phase of 5-path. We're going to do whatever we're doing in that phase. Like, let's say, we keep talking about age regression. We do the age regression, we find the ISC, we resolve what's going on in the ISC, we go through the SSCs back up to now, reinforcing the change. We do age progression into the future so they can pre-vivify the change, so that they can have a mental expectation of success in the future. And then with the segue, the segue is where we go from one thing to another. So we were doing the insight work, and then we segue into direct suggestion. And even people who do age regression, they can make a big mistake by not literally and obviously tying together the work that was done in the age regression. For example, let's say you find out in the age regression that they got the idea that they were unlovable or unworthy, or there's something wrong with them. Then, and you change that belief back when it happened, you reinforce that change in the subsequent sensitizing events that are visited in the age regression. You take them into the future with that new belief that they're good, they're lovable, there's nothing wrong with them. And then we segue. We say, now that you know this, and you feel that, whatever the insights were, you're now going to be able to accept these suggestions more powerfully than ever before. And it's at that time that we give them direct suggestion that's customized for them. So customizing your direct suggestion and powerfully attaching it to the insight work is going to be success, give you that maximum success. If you don't do that, you're just leaving some potential for change on the table. What do you think of that, Meredith?
I love that. I love preparing the mind to accept the new information. I mean, it would really be frustrating to every single time you work with a client have the information just bounce right off, but not us. Not the way we do it. We prepare the mind so it's ready to accept the new information so they can actually get the benefit of the change.
Absolutely. Is that 10 yet?
That is 10.
Can we do some bonus ones?
We can.
Hey, you got a bonus one you want to throw in there?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's kind of a mistake I made in the very beginning, you know, of working with clients. And it dawned on me as we were going through this. You know, it's really a huge mistake to ever make the client feel or allow the client to think that they've screwed up in any way. Because if they think that they've screwed up, then they've lost that confidence. If they don't have confidence, you've got no game, right? So you've always got to reassure them, whatever it is. You know, if you're doing eye lock and their eyes pop open, you got to reassure them and go, that's okay, that happens sometimes. And always allow them to be right, because there's always another way to get around that thing. And obviously, you're the one that needs to do something differently. Either you need to explain it better, or you need to, you know, the hypnosis isn't working, or they're not deep enough, or what have you. It's really in you. And so once you get your act together, then the client will be able to get it right. But to ever allude that the client is ever getting anything wrong, whether it's by a look on your face or a reaction that you have, or by directly telling them that, couldn't make a huger mistake, right, Cal?
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to do a test, like an overt test, that they could fail, then you need, you know, there's like a saying, that which, you know, can happen will happen, and you need to know how to respond to that in a way that makes you like, that happens sometimes, what was going on, and then you fix it and then continue. Good. Hey, how about this one? Wasting too much time chit-chatting with clients, and also a lot of times that chit-chatting too much, just talking about stuff that's unrelated to hypnosis, unrelated to helping the client. And you waste time, and one of the worst ways to do that is talking about yourself. My clients know very little about me, and they really care very little about, you know, what I do in my spare time. I remember I was doing supervision of this one hypnotist that was new here, and he would start off with, gosh, you know, what kind of sports you like? So that he could talk about the sports he liked. And I had to talk to him about it. I says, why are you doing that? He says, well, it helps us to bond and build a bridge. And I go, wait a minute, this is not your social life. In your social life, you meet a guy, you go, hey, what do you think of them Dodgers? Or what do you think of them Yankees? Or what do you think of those Twins? Okay? And maybe you can find something to talk about and bond. But you bond with your clients by being interested in them and giving them the service that they came to see you about. So my clients know very, very little about my personal life, but I probably know them better than anyone else in their life. What do you think of that, Meredith?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I find that a lot of times clients will be a little nervous about getting in and doing the work. And so they'll nervously chit-chat and kind of wanting to put off doing what they know might be uncomfortable, or, you know, might actually create the change that means they have to do something with the rest of their lives. And so they can kind of nervously chit-chat it away, and you've got to be the boss. You've got to be in charge and be willing to go, okay, let's do some hypnosis now. Are you ready to do hypnosis with me now? You know, take control of the conversation and get the session back on track.
Yeah. You know, as soon as my clients come into my office, I start off with, I don't go, how you doing? How's your day? No, I go, hey, so you just got through watching a video. Do you have any questions about the video? And boom, we're rolling right there. And as soon as you get them engaged, then the nervousness starts to go away. And one of the first articles I wrote for the National Guild of Hypnotists, Journal of Hypnotism, was praise the simplest secret to success. Just look for ways to praise your client before, during, and after the session. It makes them feel confident, makes them feel safe, secure, and it makes them believe that they're doing things right. And so it's a much better way to go than talking about baseball or just wasting time like that. Good. Do you have any more that you want to add to our list?
No, and we're out of time, Cal, but really quick, I've got the new hypnosis.org up here, and I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is. What do you like about it, first off?
Well, it's just so clean, first of all. It's really easy to see the different menu items and to access the information. I just love the feel of it. I love the look of it. It's got interesting news there listed on the side and articles, and oh my gosh, I adore it. Yay!
Hey, thank you. So here's I got two things. One is about mistakes that hypnotists make. Then we get right into this, into hypnosis.org. But not working on yourself. All the things I talked about in the podcast about the Banyan Balloon success model. You got to work on yourself. You got to be your own coach, your own educator in a way that you are not keeping yourself held back. All right, now, ho, that's what we call it around the office. Ho, like ho, 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 because it's hypnosis.org. And so this was an especially challenging website because we come up for the search term hypnosis. And people will search for the term hypnosis really wanting a variety of different things. They might want general hypnosis information. They might want to find a hypnotist near them. They might just be curious about they heard something in the news. And so the problem was, with Google, if a significant number of people come to your page and go, oh, that's not what I want, and they go back to Google, that's like, I think it's called bouncing off your page, a high bounce rate. And then they say it begins to look like the website is not relevant for hypnosis. So we designed this screen to be sticky, so that like no matter what they came here for, they're going to spend a few minutes. So like if they're interested in celebrity, we have celebrity news. If they're interested in hypnosis, we have hypnosis news. And easing, if they want to educate and read articles, of course we have a video there. So a greater percentage of people will come to that website and stay on the site longer. Now I don't really care about celebrity hypnosis. I'm just not a celebrity buff, but there's a sufficient number of people that will stick and read that stuff, and then Google then likes our website more, and then when people come for the stuff that we really want them to come for, our website will move up the search engine ranking, and that's why we do that. Isn't that interesting? All right, wrap it up. Thank you, Meredith, for being here and sharing your knowledge and your enthusiasm, and we'll probably see you in another month or so.
You sure will. And I hope to see all of you guys. It should be happening right about soon, the convention. So if you haven't already gotten your registration in, if you haven't already signed up, get to it. We want to see you. I want to meet you in person. And definitely come up and say hi. So this is Meredith Locker. Please do send in your question, your feedbacks, all of them. Send them to me, meredith@yourpathhypnosis.com. You can post them right down there on calbanyan.com. You can also go to our Hypnospace and put it into the Ask Cal group, or find us on Facebook, the Hypnosis Etc. fan page. Really looking forward to creating more community with all of you. This is Meredith Locker signing off.
Thank you, Meredith. And to all of you who either want to come into the profession or raise your level of professionalism, raise your skills, please, who else in the world would you want to train with? Come to my certification class. The next one coming up is in October. It's going to be October 14th to the 25th. That's 2 weeks here in sunny California. And where it's getting cold in so many places in the world, what's it doing in California? It's nice. And so we've got the 14th to the 25th. There's a weekend off right in the middle of that. And you can go to Disneyland. You can go to the beach. You can do all kinds of stuff. All right, that's it. Hope to see you soon. Cal Banyan, signing off. This recording is the property of Cal Banyan and the Banyan Hypnosis Center for Training and Services, Incorporated. All rights reserved, for private use only, may not be duplicated without permission. For contact information, go to www.hypnosiscenter.com.